Do I have feathers now? That was an interesting sensation.
I think Jack just had an orgasm.
I didn't like your O face. It made me feel uncomfortable.
It just slides down.
No, not that one, Red. Not that one. It's the next thing.
Why did I tie myself to this again?
Honey crowns? Honey crowns? You have to miss the honey crowns.
I think it shows his character, though.
I found it very accessible.
Have you ever cooked on a fire end elemental?
And it's got jam on it.
He just said he killed the chieftain.
I'll jump on the other side. Don't let it tip over. Yeah.
Did you have to wear your cleats today?
It is ice in here. Sorry, I forgot about that.
His battle cleats.
Welcome back to Dice Shame. This is episode 112, Gong Show.
MVP goes to Discord user Malaxes, who recently had a nasty time in the hospital and used Dice Shame to help pass the time. Glad you're feeling better, buddy.
Yeah, get well soon. Dice Shame has been picked up as the early selection in the fiction podcast / actual play category for the New Jersey Web Fest. We're delighted to be first pick and can't wait to see how many hundreds of trophies we win, if any. Thanks to the New Jersey Web Fest, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
All right, shall we do this?
Yeah, let's do it. So you're standing on top of the promontory, looking out over the ice cavern, glimmering in the light from campfires below. The voice, representing itself as knowing the will of the ancestors, has spoken to you, Jack, and given you another task. Kill Wormblood, the chief of the tribe.
As the spirit quits speaking to Jack in his mind, he's rooting around through his pouch to find this token from Wormblood that we had acquired earlier, and just starts talking out loud to the statue so everyone can hear, and just starts telling the story of visiting the Oracle and going into that room and finding this white dragon and these members of the tribe trying to break it down and how we'd encountered them.
And Red nudges him. Not everyone. He points down to all the onlookers who
They're all
have
like,
listened
"What?"
to this whole story. Well, he said, I tell everybody. What? This hilarious image of him being like,
whisper chamber.
when we killed the chieftain.
Well, I was wondering, is this conversation happening in your head? Because we can't hear the voice.
No. So you
right.
the voice telling him what is in his head, but once he pulls out the token from the chief, he's telling the story
He
to
says
the
it
statue, but out loud so that everybody can hear it.
But not everybody.
The four of us.
In the immediate vicinity.
Most people.
But they don't speak our language.
Oh, that's right. They don't speak.
Yeah.
Well, Gavin does.
Well, Kevin can know if she can hear from 60 feet, 80 feet above on Pride Rock.
That's not that far, actually.
The acoustics in here are amazing.
Jack, even if you are speaking in like a moderate voice so that, you know, your companions all arrayed within 30 feet of you can hear, it's not going to echo down in a clear way to the floor of this chamber.
I can read lips. He just said he killed the chieftain.
Brought here, speaking honestly, tells the truth to this spirit. Did we learn its name was Elrom at some point?
Elrond.
Elrom.
Elron Hubbard, I believe.
Hubbard.
Elrom Hubbard. I have ELROM, but maybe I was a wrong note.
Elrem. You were told that is the great worm.
Let me jump back for a minute, if you don't mind.
Jack arrives at Nightstone, and when he gets there,
Yeah.
Jack stops for a minute and like pulls in, goes into his bag and is looking through it, and he's like, "Where's this brooch? I just threw it to the kid," and like pulls out this brooch that he got off of Wormblood, and just starts talking out loud to this statue so everyone can hear. And just starts telling the story of visiting the Worm tribe at the Oracle and what we saw them doing, and how we have slain this chieftain. And I put the brooch down sort of at the base of this altar as a bit of an offering, and step back.
And then in your head, you hear,
"A token offered shall be rewarded."
and you are overcome by a warm feeling, as if a sensation of feathers are brushing your face, your arms, your torso, your legs. It's very pleasant. And you have been blessed with a charm. You hear,
"You are touched by the spirit of Elrond, the great worm."
Yeah.
all of us?
just Jack.
Oh.
Jack stands up and takes a step back for a minute, and looks around at himself just to be like, what exactly does that mean? Trying to assess, like, do I have feathers now? That was an interesting sensation.
Doran turns to Kraloth and says, I think Jack just had an orgasm. He looks awfully odd.
It was divine.
Orgasm?
Oh, Kraloth. Oh, no. Oh, buddy.
You have a charm of restoration, Jack.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
Yes, there you go.
Greater restoration, Jeebus.
Yeah, you know what we should do?
We should get Jack trapped in stone again. Oh, wait, no.
So Jack feels this restorative charm infused in his body, not unlike the awful bits of like stone giant stuff that infused him the last time he had a weird encounter with a thing. I think there's a part of his brain that's like categorizing all the different magics that infect him, and as he sort of maps out how it feels inside him. And this one is definitely way more positive and interestingly draconic.
What does it do? What did you learn, Jack?
What it do, though?
What it do, though?
Yeah, Jack, you all right? Doran says you look like you had an orgasm, whatever that is.
Yeah. Oh, Kraloth.
You remember that spell that broke the curse that was in the ring?
Yeah?
I think the spirit that lives here just gave me a power a little bit like that. The ability to break curses and restore people.
Restore people? Wait a minute. That means we could go back to that stone giant that we found and bring that elf back to life. Remember?
Yeah.
Like in episode 13 or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a long time, but I keep really detailed notes.
Like 30 months ago.
Yeah. I mean, in real life, but in...
That was before Simba became an adult.
2-3 months.
I remember that like it was 2 years ago.
That's right.
No, remember there was an elf and he was trapped in the stone giant. Despite we killing him,
That's right.
we needed greater restoration to bring him back. I think that should be something we do, the poor guy.
If we do pass by that area in our travels, I definitely agree.
It's not far once we get to Waterdeep, I don't think.
I mean, think about this. Imagine if that were Jack still trapped in the stomach of that stone giant.
I've been there, and it's unpleasant, and the sooner we can rescue this poor soul, the better.
Agreed.
Jack's going to try to reach out to Elrem and just sort of say, we're on a quest to save as much as we can of this part of the world, and that hanging artifact down there might help us do that. I would hate to ask for one more blessing after you've just been so generous, but I'd ask that we could take it with us.
It is yours.
What's ours? Red says as he's like yanking this tapestry down and like rolling it up and like shoving it into the bag.
Well, it's not a tapestry.
Well,
so
and
that's the thing.
he's pulling a tapestry.
It's just,
No, not
It's
that
not
one,
the
Red. Not
roll.
that one. It's the next thing.
What? Okay. He walks over to like another old tapestry and pulls it down and rolls it up again.
there's like a corpse.
A wall of
wrapped-
75 tapestries.
There's a corpse that's like in funerary wrappings, and Red just like unrolls the corpse to take off
Yeah.
the fabric.
All the bones just go flying over the Pride Rock thing.
And that's mine, and that's mine. Yeah, so at the back of this cave, there is a crescent-shaped gong in a crude stone frame. It's a circular disc, 13 feet in diameter, so it's a big thing. It's a circular disc that was broken at some time, it looks like. Now it's missing a large piece, so crescent-shaped. What remains of it is probably just north of 200 pounds.
Whoa.
And yeah, it's very curious construction.
Say, Jack, ask your brain friend if we can ring it.
I don't know that I want to ask any more of this. Maybe once we get it away from here.
Yeah. Just ask it. Red walks over and looks at the big gong.
I think while you guys are having this discussion, Doran kind of walks up and analyzes the, because it's stone entirely, or just the outer rim is stone?
The face of this artifact is made of red dragon scales. You see now, just by approaching it, examining it closely. And the scales seem to be bolted to this copper frame underneath. And the rim of it is stone frame.
And that's what I'd like to roll to stone cunning on
Sure.
to see. That's going to be a 19.
Yeah, this is worked stone. Its origin is difficult for you to piece together, but it looks like it's probably something that you would actually recognize quite well. This is an ancient, giant-sized shield that was broken in battle. You would expect that on the rear of this piece, maybe there would even be some arm straps.
Doran steps up as Jack is mumbling to his ghost people world and runs his hand along the edge of the piece, and he says out loud, "This was a giant's shield. It's been broken." And then as he steps around back, he does see, an arm strap.
Mm-hmm. One of them is maybe long gone, but there's another that's warped by ice and time. Leather. Do you strike the gong, Red?
Look, we have a new democratic process here. Let's vote. Who would like me to ring it? And Red raises his hand.
Greyloth raises his hand. Looks around.
It's on you two.
Jack abstains.
It's on you, Doran.
Doran's not paying any attention really to the fact that
Just
you want to ring
feeling
it.
the red dragon scales.
He's really into the workmanship.
Hey, Doran, raise your hand for a second.
His hand goes up the edge of the stone, and you take that as him raising his hand.
All right. And Red does a roundhouse kick and rings it with his foot. Ha!
The deep tone of this gong echoes through the cavern and causes a few large icicles to break away from the ceiling and crash down onto the icy floor, causing no damage to the people below, but maybe a couple of folks shout.
Sorry. Worth it. All right. How are we going to get this thing out of here? Giant Doran ape?
If we used the rod of the Vonendad, do you think we could find the other half?
We could.
You think it's around here?
It might be.
But isn't the Ron and Vonnegut only,
What was that, Doran? The what?
doesn't it only
Doesn't
find
Kurt Vonnegut
that anatonium or whatever that material is?
adamantium?
Adamantium.
Jesus, where are you? You were a blacksmith once.
But this is made of copper and
Unobtainium.
So the rod of the Vonendad is particularly good at finding adamantium objects, has a much extended range, but it's still good at finding things that you are specifically looking for, and knowing the other half of the shield exists. We could look for that. I mean, I forgive you. It's certainly
forgetting about that.
a nuanced piece of magic.
But what on earth would it look like, Jack? We only have half of the shield.
Well, as long as we can get it onto the airship, there's no reason why we can't leave it up there. We don't need to stuff it all in the bag of holding.
I don't want to do bag holding. I think we should do ape Doran to get
This
this
is
thing.
13 feet in diameter. We're
Yes.
not going to fit it in the bag.
I think it'd be funnier
unfortunately.
to have like a big ape trying to get it on top of the airship.
I think we just roll it down the ramp.
Like a toboggan.
right out the front door.
We could levitate it out.
Yeah, but the
that's
giant ape.
Giant ape is also great.
Giant ape's fun.
Imagine him climbing down the side of the wall of ice. It's hilarious. And them just seeing this giant ape.
I'm curious about the other half, just because there was two halves of the mask that were there that we needed both of.
Why don't we use the rod on the airship?
What it might be like right here though.
Oh, yeah, maybe it is. Okay.
The other half of the mask was just buried 2 feet deeper than the first one.
Oh, okay. In that case, yeah.
It will take someone an hour to attune, but you can definitely go for it, right?
We have an hour to be up here and be spiritual. We just communed with their fucking dragon god and had an orgasm because we got blessed. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Listen, no one had an orgasm but you, Jack. We all standing here having to watch awkwardly.
So awkward.
I'm sorry that it's cold for you guys up here, and I'm.
I didn't like your O face. It made me feel uncomfortable.
While you're attuning, Doran, why don't you give me a hand just getting this down?
Yeah.
We should be able to do it, the two of us.
And I'll get some of these tapestries.
Doran, using your hand as a step, he climbs and stands on your shoulders, as we have done before. And easily slices the rope that's holding the piece up.
It just slides down. So,
Yeah.
I got it. I got it.
I'll jump on the other side. Don't let it tip over. Yeah.
Did you have to wear your cleats today?
Well, it is ice in here. Sorry, I
Getting through my
forgot about that.
Play-Doh.
But your armor's strong and thick.
Battle cleats.
I guess so. You're going to have to hammer out those things, though.
You know I will. Let's see if we should roll it down the ramp here.
Which way are we rolling it? Well, hold on. Maybe you should get off my shoulders before we try rolling it.
Oh yeah,
Doran jumps down and runs to the round to the other side so it doesn't tip the other way.
And Red's like, all right. He walks over, and rather than helping, he just rings the gong again. Boom!
More icicles. 200 piercing damage. Kraloth is down.
Nice.
And it's a TPK.
Diamonds are mine.
Diamond cream.
An hour later, Jack attunes to the Rod of the Vonendod, and you're looking for the second piece of this.
Yeah, he carefully pictures what he imagines the other piece of the shield should look like, and uses the power of the rod and the Rod of the Vonendod to see if it's within 1,000 feet of us.
Unlike with the mask, there does not appear to be a complementary piece of this artifact.
Yeah, I think feeling satisfied, he thanks silently Elrem for their blessing and the time spent up here, and starts to like pack up kind of solemnly, like as respectful as he can be, looking at the shenanigans of his friends.
While that's going on, I feel like Kraloth and Doran are not even thinking about either the giant ape or levitate. We're like rope, and he's like throwing it through the broken part so that we can like roll it slowly down this slope.
Yeah, if we both hold the rope together, we should be able to inch it down.
Lower it down.
Bit by bit.
Red's just leaning against a snow pile, eating an apple, watching.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to do it that way. Just like commenting shittily every once in a while. Oh, you almost got it, Doran.
Yeah.
And like with the sweat beads. We're like about to let this thing start to go down. We had like 18 ropes, and it's like tied around my waist and tied around this. It's kind of like a whole lever action.
Oh, yeah,
around
you
the
got
stone.
it. Yes, you got the weight. You're
So
good.
it might start swinging at some point, Doran. So make sure you got to be prepared for that. You got to be prepared, all right?
Yeah. Well, why did I tie myself to this again?
Now the questions are starting to go through Doran's mind.
And the gong it descends properly for the first 2/3, and then for the last 20 feet, one of the ropes snaps, and it like pivots and starts to swing a little bit. And Doran, maybe you're like pulled off of the ledge as you're like tied to this gong for some reason.
Yeah.
It's gonna go.
It's gonna
scenario.
go, and then I'm gonna go.
And then there's someone down. I'm just picturing like two people down there, just like, and these are the people that are going to save the world.
Yeah. And then I picture it's like about to fall, and one of you performs a levitate, and it just like.
Oh, I'll do it.
Someone does it.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's gonna.
And then
Nope, Jack's just like, I'm good.
Bye, Doran.
I thought you just said you were gonna do it, Red.
I don't have levitate.
the
I was
only
being
one who can
facetious.
levitate is.
I was joking because no one has it, but Jack.
And that's only if he's prepared it.
I do have it prepared because it's a
Okay,
good
there you
spell.
go.
God.
Yeah, so I'm
Jack,
just-
you got this, right? And he's like, nope.
Huh? He's looking at tapestry.
Jack comes over after his respectful moment. Is trying to hand this like 100-pound rod off to Red to go back in the bag of storing, and then like shit starts to go south. The ropes are breaking. Doran's flung off the edge for a second, and just as he's about to leave that 60 feet away from Jack, he's able to whip out his wand, flick and a swish, cast a spell, and Doran starts to grow and grow and grow until Doran's like feet hit the ground, and he's able to catch the thing as a very giant ape-like Doran.
Yeah!
And Doran lifts the shield above his head and kind of exclaims, he's got it.
And all of the people
Worm
start
tribe
running
barbarians
and
flee
screaming.
into the caverns.
Doran puts the shield on his arm with at least the one strap that's still there, and begins to carry it out of the cave, leading the
Sure.
Cool.
foursome.
Before you leave, Andazar Thazor hobbles over. Leaving so soon? Where are you off to next?
Well, next we're heading a little bit south, I think. East-southeast-ish. We're going to another one of these cool barbarian mounds. You're welcome to come if you want.
Oh, wow. That would be marvelous, frankly. What manner of transportation do you employ?
Good.
Cult boat?
Beg your pardon.
It's a
Dragon's airship.
yeah, based on the cult of the Red Dragon Clouth.
It's a cold airboat.
Well,
It's yeah, we feel exactly that conflicted about it.
Yeah.
I don't.
it's marvelous.
Doran, you're not an ape anymore. No.
Doran's like pointing at the sky. And
He's just really enjoying feeling like an ape, so
We'd love to have you along if you'd like. Absolutely. Sure.
I would greatly appreciate that. Well, that sounds wonderful. I would greatly appreciate the chance to travel with adventurers such as yourselves.
Oh, well.
Equipped with a flying machine, you say. And it would make easy my path.
Well, perfect. Is there a specific place you're going to, or just kind of middling about?
I'm headed to Everland next, I'm hoping, but I am happy to be dropped anywhere south of the spine.
Jack hates Everland, so...
Oh, you do?
It's a long story.
Well, we'll have a long trip for the story.
Yeah.
Lots of time for the telling of tales and such.
Yes,
Yeah.
come on. Our ape is getting away from us. Doran!
I'll just collect my things and say some goodbyes. Such lovely people. I'll catch up with you in just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
He scuttles off into the darkness.
Kieran, come on.
Woof!
Don't give me that. We have to go.
Woof! So you signal the airship. It lets down its ladders for ascent. Endazar hobbles once in a circle around his walking stick, and this golden lattice springs forth. It weaves itself into a reclining chair, and he just gets in. And he's gently levitated up alongside the ladder.
Holy shit, Jack! That's a wizard!
No, that's not what this guy's for.
Just kidding.
You want to see how to be a wizard, Jack? This is how you fucking wizard.
No, I just love the idea. Like, it's so ostentatious. Is that the
Yeah,
word? It's
yeah.
so, like, over
Flamboyant.
the top. Yeah, that it's just kind of funny to think that that's sort of like...
Oh, yeah.
No. Red, that's an anthropologist for you.
it kind of makes sense in a way. You know, you got this really old guy that like can't do that anymore
Most of
and
his-
isn't adventuring. So like, what else do you
Most
do
of
with
his
your
spell
powers?
slots are about like accessibility.
Yeah.
Make font bigger, level 4.
I think it shows his character though that he's like
awesome.
I wouldn't mind, like maybe I'll join you, and then he's just so comfortable with
Oh, I
like
love it.
okay, I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy this airship ride.
I know you said it's like a gold... I'm picturing like a lazy boy recliner, though.
Yeah, it's a
but not even
reclining
like a
chair.
fresh one, like an old smoke-covered one, you know, like in someone's house.
The Homer Simpson recliner.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Red climbs up as well.
So this like 2-ton great ape holding a 200-pound shield grabs hold of the ladder, and
Oh no.
the airship.
The airship starts to tilt a little bit, and you hear
Easy,
like,
Doran.
some whirring deep within the ship as it's trying to regain its balance. Someone from the deck of the ship like looks over and starts yelling something you can't hear, but
It's okay.
Increase the hot air.
I love the idea that maybe the old wizard like levitates it and like brings it up the rest of the way for us.
he's
you know
like,
what I mean?
well, I'm an NPC. I don't have to worry about spell slots. Here we go. We get it up.
You'd crash it.
You pull it down like a helium balloon, put the shield on top, then let it
That's
go.
right. King Kong style.
I love that he pulls it down, puts it on top, and Jack dismisses the spell, so the thing floats up and Doran gets smaller.
Yeah,
He's
while
hanging off the
hanging
edge.
onto the
That's
ladder.
cute, too.
Oh my god.
That's not what Doran says.
You went too far past.
He
You got him
becomes
too
smaller
small.
than
Pocket-sized Doran.
There's like a moment where it's like
Sorry, Doran.
Can polymorph make him smaller too?
Well, he can.
Yeah.
Do you have enlarge reduce?
I
That'd be
don't.
good too. Next time.
I want pocket-sized Doran.
So, once again, Clouth's airship carries you on your whims. The crew of cultists masterfully steering and maintaining the ship according to its needs. And we spend some days traveling through the air once more. Endazar has created a corner to himself below decks, stringing an illusory curtain from the ceiling for privacy. He's almost always found in the galley beside the stove, to keep warm. He's reading or writing all the time, and sometimes curiously muttering into the stove itself.
I love the idea that, at certain times you can see Red sitting on a stool across from this man, Shale on his lap, and they're sort of talking deeply, maybe even indraconic at times, Red sort of getting to bounce ideas off of him. But, to listen in, the ideas are always weird, kind of silly, different ideas that Red has about like dreams and what wizards actually are. It's always the same nonsense that you've seen, but Red does seem sort of excited to distance himself from the other three for some reason.
And I think that no matter what the conversation, Anduzar is willing to get as strange and esoteric as your logic may require, whether or not it actually makes sense to his worldview. He's like very willing to like do thought experiments sort of deal.
Maybe he and Red bond over the fact that he knows about Maztica. Maybe he's been there even, and he's like, oh, and the purple trees.
Oh, yes. This time of year, I believe they're just losing their bloom.
Yes, yeah, you get it. See, you get it. He gets it, Kraloth.
Oh,
it's so nice to talk about the crazy things that I miss over there, It's been so long.
Kraloth is just cooking in the kitchen and preparing a nice meal. What's your favorite type of food there, Endazar?
Oh, I'm not really one for the culinary delights. I usually just eat whatever is in front of me.
Oh, okay.
I do like comfort food, so anything warm is...
Honey crowns? Honey crowns? You have to miss the honey crowns.
I do. I am partial.
Oh, a fresh one plucked right off the plant. Oh, nothing is better.
But the porridge that is made from the honey crown,
yes.
I am quite fond of.
Yes, with narfle root on top. Oh,
I
wonderful.
don't have any honey crowns with me right now, but if I ever go to Maztica, I'll definitely be sure to harvest some.
I'll take you there one day, friend, when all this is over.
Oh, I would love to go. It sounds fantastic.
I'm imagining Jack spying this pile of books.
Oh,
beside...
There's spying on. Like in Les Mis, like Gif where he leans out, watches, and leans back.
Jack, it's past your bedtime.
Jack is also in line for like a moment with the new wizard on board, and on the sense of like while this guy's also clearly got sensibilities very aligned with the sorts of thing Jack's interested in, but he's trying not to like stomp on Red's new friendship either.
Is there any competition though? I can kind of picture and be like, you got Mold Earth, yeah, you got. I mean, restoration. Hey, do you got Shield? Okay.
I mean, Jack's happy to sit by the fire. We picked up this damaged book from the aerialist's tower, and I think amongst learning the flute, Jack is also trying to just like repair this old interesting book, and has his own interesting books of things out and around, and just trying to see if like I can be interesting too. We'll see what this guy cares about, and I'm just doing nothing over here.
If you've got books out for the loaning, Endazar is greedy for them.
Yeah,
he's like, oh. So, if you're done with this, what I've never read,
you might not have read a lot of these. We recovered them from this Netherese tomb. They've been buried. They're original Netherese texts from a wizard's tower. They're incredible. Even just Red, you've got that one I lent you about the illusions, right?
Yeah, of course I do.
The copy of Ajamar's Guide to the Fantastic that I lent you. That that was.
Oh, yeah! Red reaches in the bag of holding, you hear, like, things breaking, and he pulls it out, and there's, like, jam on the cover, and he, like, wipes it off, and he's like, it's a bit of sticky.
Endazar actually takes the book, and he's like, this is
exactly like the books you've read in school, but it's kind of got this interesting, lighthearted tone. Like, I never had a book that was so... I found it very accessible.
And it's got jam on it.
It does have jam, yes. Well, if you don't mind, I would love to spend some time with this particular book.
We've got some time while we're flying here. I'm happy to loan it out, and maybe there's some other things we could teach each other. I don't know I've developed a couple of interesting spells in my travels. I don't know if that's of interest.
He gives you kind of a vague nod.
And Kraloth actually, looks over and sees some of those books and says, "Hey, you wouldn't happen to have any cooking recipes? You come across any in your travels? I imagine you haven't tried them since you don't.
It doesn't stick in my mind as such,
Hmm.
but if you'd like, this book here, I do recall having some very interesting descriptions of campfire food. And he hands you a copy of the compiled histories of the Highwayman, true and honest accounts.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Doran, your turn. I push him up to the wizard.
Doran doesn't really.
For you, I have the greatest gift of all.
Bum blush concealer.
Well, Doran sort of sits and he's a little solemn. He smokes a cigarette and he has his notebook out in front of him. But, you know, if you were watching Doran from afar, you see he's got the book out and open in front of him, but he stares past the book at the ground, sort of his own thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Endazar is also in the galley with Kraloth and Doran, and he is staring deep into the flames, similar to Doran, kind of enjoying a bit of old man quiet. And then he turns to the two of you and he says, "The creature in there is Sendis, the trapped inside the furnace. They're named Sendis, a fire elemental. Do you speak elemental?"
Maybe that's what jars Doran's out of his deep thought, and he looks over across the stove at the wizard and he says,
Are you talking to someone in the stove?
I'm not speaking back, but it is none too pleased at having been bound inside the airship. Yes, there is a creature inside.
There's something angry stuck inside this stove?
Have you never forged on a stove powered by a fire elemental? I suppose not, but you would have noticed there is no fuel aboard, I'm sure. Although,
Well,
your attentions seem to be gathered elsewhere, Master Dwarf, if you don't mind me saying so.
yeah, it's you're right. I hadn't even noticed that nobody stoked the fire, and I didn't ever consider, and I don't think I've ever forged on a, what is it, some sort of demon or?
It's a fire elemental.
Oh.
It's currently detailing for me the destruction they will wreak upon us all, should they ever be freed. Servitude rarely improves one's mental or emotional state, and this is no different. Not terribly forward-thinking, to be honest, to be so free about the consequence that they would offer us, but here we are. Sendis keeps this airship aloft and warm and fed.
Doran kind of looks at Kraloth.
Well, that's interesting. Have you ever cooked on a fire and elemental, Kraloth?
Can't say that I have, but I will say that Sendis is keeping this pork belly really evenly cooked. The ethical implications of this are rather questionable.
I would tend to agree. Yeah.
If you were able to hear his threats, perhaps you would feel differently. Yes, and he peeks into the grate of the furnace through which you can see angry tendrils of flame. Yes, thank you, Sendis. I'm afraid there will be no burning to a crisp today.
Yeah.
There is a second elemental aboard as well. An air elemental named Cyclonius, who governs the propulsion of the craft. Similarly to Sendis, Cyclonius also is promising our swift demise.
How do they keep them in line? Is there some sort of wizard here? Dragon magic?
I am no dragon expert, but I would presume that yes, Klauth's power would keep these creatures in check. I have no real experience with dragons. In fact, I credit my long years partly to staying out of their way. No desire to be fried to a crisp.
Yeah.
That makes two of us.
But I can tell you, they're certainly an impressive creature. I may not like them, but I can respect what they do and what they stand for.
And here we have it. Some cardamom spiced pork belly with green beans and a nice side of potato mash.
Oh, it smells absolutely delightful, Kraloth. It's wonderful what you can do with food.
Hey, don't thank me. Thank Sendis.
Oh, well, yes. Shall we eat?
Mm-hmm.
It gets late. Everyone enjoys their dinner, and as we are all falling asleep, maybe we share some stories together. And after a time, Endazar shares one of his. He says, "Stories are dangerous things. A misplaced tale here or there can enter the wrong ear. Perhaps set a catastrophe into motion. All it takes is a word to inspire avarice or to ignite the glorious flame of passion. I have always been lured and seduced by stories. Perhaps you, Doran, have heard of the Fallen Lands, for they unspool from the rocky ground not far from your home in the Grey Peak Mountains. I traveled there myself, or should I say, thanks to my mount, a chestnut mare named Shara. One of the most loyal creatures I've ever met. The Fallen Lands called to me because I'd never been, and having found myself in Loudwater for a time, where I'd been conspiring with a botanist friend of mine, I made up my mind to see for myself if the stories were true. Picture me, perhaps 50 years younger than I am today, astride the lovely Shara. The Fallen Lands feature in places a carpet of tall grass, nearly to Shara's belly. At times I drag my feet through them in the afternoon, churning up a cloud of grasshoppers. On the hillsides, poking up like a rare island in this sea of grassland, dark stonework ruins occasionally hint at the land's history. I nearly brained myself on a piece of one as I sat down for the night. It's said in the stories that these lands were one time a part of an ancient realm of sages and magicians. Netherese, Jack. And I found that after dark the grasses were home to strange motes of light, odd after effects and illusions, like a memory of a spell long dissolved. At the lighting of the campfire one night, I conjured the flame, as usual, just so, and he produces a flame on his hand that brilliantly illuminates the cabin of the airship, only to find Shara and myself shrunk down to the size of a house cat, or smaller, in the wavering grass. Courageous Shara allowed me to ride her to the safety atop a fallen tree somewhere nearby, and we looked at the stars together until we regained our regular stature. I'd say 10 minutes or so. Faerun holds many surprises, my young friends, as it did for Shara and me that night. And I hope that you all can find some glory on your way.
It's a good thought on stories. Stories certainly can jar certain feelings.
Speak, dwarf.
Sorry, I feel like that's demeaning. Maybe you could just call him Doran, you know? That's his name. I'm not calling you, hey, man.
I am sorry, I don't mean to be reductive.
No, it's okay. I guess I'm just, there are lots of stories to be told, and I guess one part of me thinks, why tell stories? Just live in the moment. Forget about the past. There's always better things coming in the future. Right?
Right.
I hope so.
Yes. No sense in dredging up the past to an extent. I mean, of course, us Tabaxis have tons of stories, but I wouldn't want to
And no
bore
past.
you all with them.
Well,
Oh, please, Red, I would love to hear something from your repertoire.
Well, I suppose I could do a quick one that maybe they've never heard before.
12 hours later.
Fair enough. This is a tale of the Hellwalker. It's a tale of Tabaxi culture about a Tabaxi that passed away and entered the realm of of dreams and death and fire. He walked across the Solomon Plains, flatlands in the north of where you go when you pass away. They say the grounds are so hot they sear your flesh or your fur. It sticks to the bottom of your skin. It could light a wooden torch with merely touching the wood to it. The ground, they say, which was once sand, has been turned to glass, as black as cindered bone. And a town lies on the edge of this field, a town called Hope. But it's rarely one to cross alone. You're meant to enter this world with friends. But he crossed it, this Hellwalker. He was a humble traveler, and his power, to carry him forward was immeasurable. They said his bones were made of stone because no matter the pain, he didn't stop. He kept pushing forward until he reached the end of the plains, the edge of the glass-like land, having seared the bottom of his flesh, and arriving at Hope. It's sort of a story about persevering through even the darkest times. No matter how terrible the pain, no matter how tragic what might befall you, it's about always pushing forward, for hope lies on the edge of any fiery desert.
That's quite beautiful, Red.
Well, it's just a story.
And I think it goes to show, contrary to Doran's assertion, that there is value in storytelling, that we can learn from this oral tradition, even if the stories are hyperbolic, shall we say. Or is this meant to be a true telling, Red?
When I was younger, I believed it was a true telling, but now I not so much. I think the moral is what's meant to ring through.
I like it very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a tale?
Well, mine got cut off, as I said, but...
How'd that happen?
Yeah.
Oh, I would never tell anybody. He winks at Doran. Well, I suppose that's it for me. It's been wonderful having you along with us.
Oh, thank you very much.
Good meal, Kraloff. And good night, friends. And Red heads off to his bunk.
There's just the sound of farts underneath the covers lulling through.
Yeah. The creaking.
Yeah, it's the
of
creaking
ship.
of the book. Beautiful ambience. I love that.
Good night, Doran.
Good night.
Thank you once again to our wonderful Patreon supporters, Christopher Ryan Evans, Merlin, Mitchell Cadwell, Ashley and JB, Michael and Brianna Weber, Colin Burkhardt, Daniel, Doug, Jessica Orrit, Jonah Goldman, and Mari Kaneski. See you soon!